Cops fighting gangs all across the country have a powerful partner, Gang Tech, a special unit created by the U.S. Marshals and other federal agencies just about a year ago. Gangs are their top priority, and I'm very proud that we've helped them grab 4 gangbangers off their 12 most wanted list. Now let's keep that streak going as we help 2 dedicated cops in 2 different parts of the country grab 2 more creeps that Gang Tech has been looking for. Deputy U.S. Marshal Joe McDermott's #1 priority is finding one of Gang Tech's top 12 fugitives and closing his only open case, Henry Droopy. Tonight, you can help Deputy McDermott and Gang Tech track down Henry Droopy Menjivar. Menjivar's skilled at concrete work and in stealing cars. He hangs out at parks where he plays soccer. And the feds say he's into witchcraft. If you know where Henry Droopy Menjivar is tonight, call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Nearly 2,500 miles away from Virginia, on the Las Vegas Strip, investigator John Mahalik is after another gangbanger on Gang Tech's list, Robert Jackson. Cops say Jackson, a 24-year-old baby-faced convicted felon, is part of Vegas's notorious hybrid gang problem.
These hybrid gangs are in it for themselves. They start their own gang, they make their own rules, they answer to no one. It's all about making money and at everyone's expense. They tend to be more violent.
Violent and reckless. Cops say on August 19, 2007, a brawl broke out between Jackson's gang, called Squad, and their rivals, Wood. Hundreds of surveillance cameras along the Strip captured what happened next, from every angle. Cops say Jackson fired 5 random shots into the crowd, hitting 4 innocent people. Here, one victim limps toward help after being struck by a bullet. Cops say Brittany O'Dale, in Vegas for her bachelorette party, was the furthest away from Jackson, but the most seriously injured in the shooting.
The bullet had eyes. It could have struck 100 different people, and for it to make its way through the crowd and strike Brittany is pretty amazing.
Feeling pain and looking down at my leg and seeing just an obscene amount of blood. The movies don't capture it. It was incredible how much blood was pouring down the street.
I thought I was gonna die.
As Brittany and 3 other victims were rushed to the hospital, Jackson ran around Vegas. Cops say Jackson tossed his shirt in one trash can, then his weapon in another, before cameras caught him fleeing through a casino.
He'll come running right up to this front door. That's him. He enters the elevator. A security guard goes in behind him. He asks if he's a member, asks for a room key to show that he belongs. He doesn't have one, and he's subsequently kicked out.
Then Jackson vanished in this parking garage. Cops still don't know where he is, but they say he has family in Louisiana, Buffalo, New York, and Baltimore, Maryland, and could be hiding in any of those locations. Wherever he's hiding, you might be surprised to hear where cops say you might find him. Believe it or not, when he's not spraying bullets all over the street, cops say Jackson likes to hang out at the library and read. So if you know where either Robert Jackson or Henry Droopy Menjivar are hiding tonight, I don't want you to hesitate. Make that call. 1-800-CRIME-TV. I know this is important to a lot of people. You can remain anonymous, I guarantee you that. And our friends at Gang Tech have a couple of more coward gangbangers that you can help them take off the street. Richard Sam and Raymond Overly. Read all about them at amw.com.
And Archer was out doing target practice one day. He lost an arrow, poor fella. Thought he'd missed the target. I guess he didn't realize that for all intents and purposes, he hit the bullseye. found me another case that turned out to be a real doozy.
Since early May, Operation Infrared, a coordinated international manhunt, has been picking off bad guys all over the world. Led by Interpol, a list of 450 of the world's most wanted became prime targets for a coalition of manhunters in 29 nations around the globe. And among that notorious group were some lowlifes we've been hunting down ourselves. They included accused Boston mob boss James Whitey Bulger, his girlfriend Catherine Gregg, and former Little League coach John Hamilton, a guy who cops in Virginia say used his position of trust to molest young boys for several years. Interpol red notices were distributed on all of the fugitives, and some very big fish were reeled in. By the time Operation Infrared officially shut down earlier this week, more than 100 of its targets were captured. Unfortunately, Bulger, Gregg, and Hamilton were not among them, so they're still on our radar. If you think you've seen any of them, call our hotline and leave your tip. Our next story is about the type of high-flying fugitive Operation Infrared is snared in its net. Cops call him a drug-running pilot who turned his double life into 2 mysterious deaths.
The bones would have been in an area just like this, with the torso up here and the legs kind of out in this area.
Okay, well, how much of a skeleton was found?
Well, there was the torso, the legs, but there really wasn't a skull there. I don't think they ever found that.
This is a cold case to end all cold cases.
The Homestead. For generations, this American landmark has been the perfect setting for a weekend getaway.
All right, that was 1 apple pie, a blueberry tart, and 2 coffees, right?
But to the resort's employees, the Homestead is much more than a vacation destination. It's their livelihood and their family.
It's a madhouse out there. Woody just sent me a 6-top, and I've got 2 4-tops and haven't even gotten their app yet.
Spring is in the air.
It's about time. Beecher, make yourself useful.
Beecher Hackney, a janitor, had been at the Homestead since 2003. If the resort was a family, Hackney was the relative who didn't quite fit in. 26 years before arriving at the Homestead, and 100 miles away in West Virginia, Hackney married Dolores Robbins. After losing Dolores, Hackney bounced from job to job before landing at the Homestead.
You know, we really don't get many people volunteering for the graveyard shift.
I like my peace and quiet.
Yeah, well, you'll get plenty of that. Not many people to bother you. Here's my son, Michael. He works at the front gate. And this is my other son, Dwight. Not by blood, of course.
So you're the new guy?
You know, I was just telling Beecher about how quiet it gets here at the Homestead at night.
Oh, you'll be fine. Nothing bad ever happens around here. Welcome to the family.
For years, Hackney worked the night shift, preferring the lonely halls and empty kitchen. When he did interact with the rest of the staff, each encounter seemed stranger than the last.
He was here when I got here, and so he was just like this weird person nobody would really associate with because he wouldn't talk to anybody.
You okay, Beecher?
Sometimes he'd clang chairs around.
Push them away and beat them together or
knock them over.
Yeah, that's what he used to do.
If you're going to go out, you might want to put your jacket on. It's freezing outside.
Beecher, where's your jacket at?
It's at home, keeping my closet warm.
By early 2009, Hackney's eccentricities were no longer the main issue.
Beecher, I don't know what your story is these days, but you've got to start doing your job.
Are you trying to fire me, Ronnie?
No, not at all. Dwight and I were talking. We're going to move you to the dinner shift so that we can watch you better. Now, no more being on your own.
Dad was extremely frustrated with him and gave him a lot of chances. Finally, Dad just had to move him to the 3 to 11 shift, and that's where he started working.
Excuse me, Beecher. I said, excuse me.
Beecher, come on, use your head, man. That bag is half empty.
Looks half full to me.
I'm not playing, man. Take it out when it's completely full. Rough times, you know management. Every penny counts.
After work, Hackney retreated into his tiny, barren apartment. His only company, the anger cops believe was eating away at him.
Use your head, man.
I want to put your jacket on. That was 1 apple pie, a blueberry tart, and 2 coffees, right?
We had extra people come in the dining room that was not even supposed to be in here. We were really, really packed.
Everybody was everywhere that night trying to get stuff done. We were like bees.
About time. Beecher, make yourself useful.
The dish machine every once in a while makes this god-awful banging that sounds like a gun.
Oh, making thing?
Why are you doing this? The scene was chaos. He was just making his round. People everywhere hiding behind the line. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know whether or not that he was going to shoot them too.
What's going on in here? We got a crowd out here!
Ronnie is barreling ass running at me. And he said,
What's the matter with this son of a bitch? Run for your life!
no remorse, no regret, just this cold, blank, emotionless mass.
At that point, Beecher come walking out of the docking bay over here.
This video shows exactly what Michael saw. Panic, fear, people running for their lives, and then Hackney calmly leaving the scene.
I was just wanting to get to the kitchen to see if I could help anybody up there. I was just afraid because I hadn't seen Dad.
No, no, no! Dad! No! You don't need to see this, man. Dad! Look, just stay where you are, Michael. Just stay.
As both Ronnie and Dwight lay dead on the kitchen floor, Hackney walked out of the homestead and into the night. The loss of Ronnie and Dwight haunts all of their family members, those at home and those at the homestead.
It still kind of feels like Dad's at work, so being here is sort of, you know, I'm kind of expecting to see him running through the kitchen.
Those were friends of ours. And it's just still hard a little bit sometimes to deal with.
It's like that light kind of burned out.
So tonight, let's shine our white-hot spotlight on Hackney and get these families some justice. Here's how you can help spot him. Hackney's missing the tip of his right pinky finger and several of his lower teeth. He usually pays for everything with cash or money orders. Cops think he could be somewhere near Phoenix, Arizona. But wherever he is, you'll know him by his weird antisocial behavior. If you've seen Beat Your Hackney, please call our hotline right now, 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Are there any clues here that could help us solve the case?
Actually, that's a great question, yes. It looks like she might have had an old injury to the lower part of her left leg.
Do we know what killed her?
We do.
Our next story gives us a chance to spend some time with a very dear friend, Bill Peters. Now, officially, Bill's retired, but in reality, he's about as busy as ever, working to crack cold cases like the one we helped solve together out of Albuquerque about 1.5 years ago. It was the case of a Jane Doe who Bill called Boots, because when her body was discovered in the desert, only her boots stuck out of the ground. After 7 years of dead ends, Bill came to us with a case, and you provided the tips that gave him the victim's name, Sandra Brady, and a prime suspect, Sandra's boyfriend, Wesley Williams. Well, Williams was caught and charged with Sandra's murder back in February of 2009. For us, he was capture number 1057. For Bill Peters, just another job very well done. Now Bill has another Jane Doe case that he needs our help to solve. Once again, it begins in the Albuquerque desert.
Another day. Clouds pass. Hours have become days. Days have turned into weeks. Months to years. And it's been more than 15 years. Is anyone out there? I need to come home. I need justice. I need someone who cares about me.
My name is Bill Peters. In 1962, I became an FBI agent. In the 1970s, started chasing crooks all over the United States. Didn't make any difference whether they were bank robbers or kidnappers. Then, I retired in 1983. But I missed working day and night for America's protection, so in 2001, I joined the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Cold Case Squad. And speaking of cold cases, this one is the mother of all cold cases and is eating me up. So here it goes. An archer was out doing target practice one day. He lost an arrow, poor fella. Thought he'd missed the target. I guess he didn't realize that for all intents and purposes, he hit the bullseye. I tell you, I've got a hernia's worth of paper on this one, and from all the reading I've done, here's what I know. Back in 1995, the archer discovered the crime scene. Deputies uncovered some bones, a few teeth, and a locket that belonged to a little girl. The skull was missing, and that's why this case is extra tough. We need to put a face on these bones and a name and find out who this child belongs to. Who in God's green earth would do this? Did some stranger snag that poor thing off a sidewalk somewhere? Was it parents misbehaving? Or a dang boyfriend that hit her too hard? Can't stand those son of a guns. This little girl belonged to somebody, but for now, she belongs to me. My first stop is meeting the original deputy on the case.
It was really similar to this. The bones would have been in an area just like this, with the torso up here and the legs kind of out in this area.
Okay, well, how much of a skeleton was found?
Well, there was the torso, the legs, but there really wasn't a skull there. I don't think they ever found that.
Was there any clothing or anything else that could have been evidentiary in nature?
Bill, I don't remember any clothing at all, but I do remember a small locket that was found.
Well, that'd be the same one that we have in evidence then.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
This is a cold case to end all cold cases, and I don't want to quit until we find out who she is. If you had a missing child, been gone for 15 years, you'd be nuttier than a fruitcake by now.
A cold case to end all cold cases. Well, at this point, it seems nearly impossible to solve. But when we come back, we'll show you how Bill's investigation progresses, including some big clues he gets directly from the bones. Back in 1995, a man finds the bones of a young woman out in an Albuquerque desert. With little to go on, the case goes nowhere. Now, one of the most dogged lawmen in the country has made it his mission to solve it. And with nearly 50 years of experience, Bill Peters is not one to give up easily.
So who was this small-framed child? If she was a teenager, she was probably in middle school. Was she blonde or brunette? I wonder what kind of background she came from. And I just hate having to use the name Bones. Wish I knew her real name. I'd be happy as a pig in slop if I could get my hands on it.
I know you'll get my name. Please. It's been such a long time.
Hey there, young lady. I'm Bill Peters, Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Squad.
Nice to meet you.
What do we have here?
What we have here are a nearly complete set of skeletal remains that were recovered on the northeast side of Albuquerque in 1995. What we are missing is the skull, which is a really important piece of information for us.
And what about the age?
Well, we can tell that this was a young female. We're looking at the long bones here. This is the upper arm bone. And we can see here a line right at the top. That tells us that she's in her mid to late teens because that's when the end caps of the bones fuse together, or join together.
Do you have any idea how long she'd been in the ground? How long she'd been dead at all?
It's difficult to say. Clearly, we have some differing states of preservation here. And this bleaching or whitening of the bone happens when there's an exposure to the environment, like rain, wind, and sun.
Okay, and what about race?
Well, we'd love to have the skull to make an assessment about the biological background of this individual, but clearly we don't have that. So it's difficult to say, especially here in New Mexico where we have such a diverse population. She could be Caucasian, Hispanic, Native American, or even African American.
Are there any clues here that could help us solve the case?
Actually, that's a great question, yes. It looks like she might have had an old injury to the lower part of her left leg. You can see here there's a bump of bone and a little bit of a spur there that might tell us that she had a fracture there when she was still alive.
Do we know what killed her?
We do. A lot of times we get cases that don't have any marks on the bone, but in this case, this individual actually has numerous cut marks that you can see on the bone. And that tells us that she was stabbed multiple times. So you can see here on one of these vertebrae from the spine that there's a cut mark coming right into the body of that bone. As well as within the ribs, we can see very clearly a cut mark coming diagonally at the end.
Okay, thanks a bunch. Time for me to go back to the breaks.
You can't hear my voice, but there's still a way I can speak to you.
Hey, Doc, what's up?
Bill.
So you've got some pictures of some teeth. Are these the ones we talked about a couple days ago?
They are, yes, sir. On this x-ray, these are the teeth that were recovered in 1995. 8 teeth, and this is actually a mandible, a lower jaw that was recovered in 1991.
Well, if it was recovered in 91, no wonder we didn't find it in 1995.
Yeah, it was in a similar area, though, up in that northern part of Albuquerque. Let me show you on my x-ray machine here.
Okay.
And on the specimen. Interestingly, this jaw has a lower wisdom tooth that's impacted. And that lower wisdom tooth shows not much of a root. And the development of that third molar tells me her age was between 14 and 17 years old. And the other thing that helps quite a bit on this to affect an identification at some point are the fillings. You know, silver fillings are unique to all of us. They're put in by a dentist custom. So if we had some ante-mortem or some prior to death records on missing persons, we can make an identification.
Well, maybe with a little bit of luck, we're going to be able to find that trash basket that killed this little girl.
Absolutely, and I do think we can identify her if we can find those records and get a clue as to who she was.
Outstanding. Catch you when I know something more. Okay, thanks a bunch.
She must have been loved. What about her parents? who must have been frantically looking for her. What grief. Can't help but think of my own kids. I couldn't go on living if that happened to me. Some might say life is like a dance. Imagine all the two-stepping she missed. Graduating high school, going to college. For all I know, she could have been married by now. She missed that special day, the one every little girl dreams of. Her life was stolen from her. I love my job, but there are so many what-ifs.
I left you a clue in the sand. I'm glad they found it.
Hey there. Good seeing you.
Morning.
I
Good
told
morning.
you I was going to come in here and
And
bug
sure
you.
enough, you
so
did,
here I
didn't
am. The world's best bugger.
All right, well, let's see
Now,
how I
I've
can
got
help you.
here just a little hodaddy that was dug up with the remains of a dead girl, skeleton remains, nothing else. So what we'd like for you to do is take a look at it, tell me everything you know about it.
Well, this is definitely an inexpensive piece of jewelry.
I kind of assumed
It's not
that.
from a fine jewelry store like ourselves or like Tiffany's or someplace like that. It's a plated piece of jewelry, a little locket. Would have had a ring at the top, another ring through that a chain would have passed through. The cameo itself, the figure, the face figure, was molded from a resin or a plastic material.
It's not the real thing then?
It's not, no. Let's take a look inside and see if there's anything, any clues inside that would help us out here. And unfortunately, there's no photograph inside. And boy, it sure would have been nice to have somebody's initials in there, wouldn't it? That'd help you out a lot, wouldn't it?
That'd have gone a long way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have that to work with, though, do we?
No. Sure appreciate your help. Thanks a bunch. I'll take this and run with it. I know that win, lose, or draw, I'm going to be looking for some guy that has all the personality of a sack full of dirty laundry.
Very good. Best of luck there. Thanks a lot.
Bill Peters, you're a good man, and God bless you in your quest to get this poor girl her name back, as well as some much-needed justice. We're going to do all we can to help you. Now, as we all saw, there's a good reason this case has been cold for so long. There's not a lot to go on. But there are two really big clues that could help the right person unravel this mystery. First, there's the jawbone with some of the teeth still on it. There's enough there that a dentist could have the records that'll match those of the missing girl. So I ask all of you dentists out there to check your records from around the year 1995 and see if you have any patients that might be between the ages of 14 and 17 at that time who suddenly disappeared and had an impacted wisdom tooth. Now, of course, the other big clue is this piece of jewelry. Sure, it's inexpensive and mass-produced, but if you knew a teenage girl who owned one of these and then went missing around 1995, that could be huge. Also, if you know somebody that had a missing teenage runaway daughter, or maybe you had a teenage runaway daughter, I'm sure somebody needs to know who this girl is. So please, go online to amw.com to look at all of these clues again. And if you know anything at all that can help Bill Peters crack this terribly tough cold case, you've got to leave that information online or call our hotline toll-free at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Again, that's 1-800-274... Tonight, the manhunt is on for accused Boston mob boss James Whitey Bulger, accused pedophile John Hamilton, Wallace Thrasher wanted for drug trafficking, Robert Jackson charged with attempted murder, and Henry Menjivar and Beecher Hackney, both wanted for murder. On August 1st, 1993, the body of 55-year-old Norma Helmig was found in the Osage River near Jefferson City, Missouri. Police charged her son Dale with murder. A jury convicted him and he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. But that's far from the end of the story. Next week, I'll show you why the wrong man may be in prison and a cold-blooded killer may be running free. It's a story unlike any I've ever told you. And you'll hear about some new developments in this case that might change everything.